button.
Oh, we
Now we thought we were live.
Yeah.
And I want you to know that the original intro to this was hilarious.
It was so good.
We were on fire.
Talking about how emotionally stunted Joe is. No.
No. We're just saying that I spent the day in London today.
And we missed him.
And the boys missed me. And I just said that Jake will have missed me more because you're both in touch with your emotions, but Jake is more expressive with his emotions. You're more of a quiet worrier.
You're a hard to get kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah.
It's still not coming up.
It's okay.
There's a 40-second delay.
I'm sure it will be on.
There's a black screen on the ATEM is my fear.
Okay.
I have just had a message from Gavin Thorpe, so if this is live, it'd be funny as well, saying, bloody timekeeping is terrible.
Okay. Let's see. And I want you to know that the original intro to this was hilarious.
It appears that we are live. We've got a black screen though.
Thanks for that, Gav.
I can sort this.
He's off.
Okay.
Dan's left the show.
So we're currently talking to you from the void.
Do you remember?
Dan's left.
It's just me and Jake.
All we do.
So Dan's favourite Kemper presets.
Go into the
his profile pack.
It's the John Mayer
We
signature
go,
Kemper preset is his favourite. Just so everyone knows.
The Line 6 Spider Insane setting.
I mean, that's the industry standard. Everyone knows that.
Go out of Black Magic to
You
Scene,
haven't
and then
played
back into
a
Black
Line
Magic
6 in the
Design,
insane setting.
And then it says, okay. Right.
How's your day going, Joe?
Yeah, it was going okay until all of those comments earlier, but you know, feel a bit attacked, but you know, such is life.
There you guys.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you should all be visible now.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I hope we're
Thank
back
you,
from the
Lizzie.
void.
Sorry about
There
that.
we are.
Whoa.
Yay.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
I'm old. I need my cushion.
Oh, he needs support in his back.
Okay.
No comment.
Lumbar.
Yeah. So it was a wonderful morning this morning.
With
Bobbit. Yes. And it's always education just to be in the room with him playing guitar.
Yeah.
I had an epiphany, another epiphany that we'll get into at some point. But I'd set up his new board. Actually, Lizzie, can you put the picture of Robin's board up? It's the it's the only pedalboard picture up there. So
There we go.
I have put this board together for Robin, and we're playing through it today, and it's really interesting. Robin's on a search for sounds at the moment, and being around him while he's going through this process has been unbelievable. And I will say one thing: Robin is 72, and his ears are as good as anyone I've ever worked with. It's what that guy can hear is unbelievable.
That's amazing.
Yeah, honestly, and he feels it and everything, as in what he hears, and you know, and whether it's something's compressing under the strings or whatever. But so you know, spending time with him going through this process, and I would pick something up and play, and you know, something would come out, then Robin would pick it up, and you know, I think, oh, that sounds really good, but then Robin plays and it's remarkable. And how connected he is with the instrument, and how that translates sonically through what comes out, and then how that translates to the experience of being in the room. It's
I think we all hope that when we get to that age, we'll still be.
Yeah, but he's never lost that passion for exploring and pushing.
That's really
cool.
Yeah, that's so cool.
It's just really, really wonderful. So so that was a really, really great day.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
But we have had a massive week in the world of pedals. Before we get into that, though, let's just see who is on and say hello.
Hello.
Hi there.
Lizzie, who do we have on while I frantically
Oh.
look on my phone.
We have TJ Kimmy, morning from BC, Canada.
Yo,
Oh,
yo,
lovely.
yo.
And we've got Simon Hosford. Greetings from Sydney, Dan and gents.
Yo.
Tom Poynton was saying, only just hearing you now, but luckily we are all good. Everyone is saying, sound is good.
Wonderful.
Sound.
Sound is good.
Sound as a
We're in the room with vision as well.
We
So,
are. Neil has said, greetings from Berkeley, California.
Hey, buddy.
And he also said, loving the Spinal Tap tribute video. Don't know if that...
so is I think this will be
This is deep
a
cut.
reference to tomorrow's TPS video, which is on wireless systems.
Oh, yeah.
And Mick and I did the whole intro to this is my custom
Sure.
3 pickup radio unit. Nice. That was really funny. Tom Hudson Crawford says hello from a rainy Stroud, so just up the road. Good on you,
Very
mate.
close.
Leyland Isley, morning from Austin, Texas. Never
Cool,
been to
man.
Texas. There's a couple from Dallas, Texas. Aaron is on from Dallas, Texas. I'm so keen to get to Texas.
I'd love to go there.
So, dear friend Andy Timmons lives in McKinney, Texas,
Sure.
All right.
and I want to get down there, go to the Guitar Sanctuary.
Yeah.
So, Bless and Brian at the Guitar Sanctuary keeps offering for Mick and I to go over and do an evening with
That'd
him
be
and
very
Andy.
Wow.
And it's like, we have to find a way to do it. We're also hopefully going to get to Nashville before the end of the year,
That'd be very cool.
because I want to do a country music special,
Cool, dude.
That
Yeah.
would be amazing.
because I am in awe of some of the tones that these guys get. And
You like a Telecaster, don't you?
I do, but it's, there's a traditional country teletone, which is a mystery for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's a mystery for me because that is in the way you play.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
totally.
so, and I want to spend some time at the feet of the masters and have a look at this stuff.
That'd be
So
amazing.
we're trying to get that together at the moment. So that would be really fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
But hey, hello to everyone that's joining us. That's really, really great. Plexico says, turn on super chats. Duncan, thank you, mate. I really appreciate that. I think for the moment, we will leave the super chats off. We're turning the monetization of these videos off just until we get a handle on everything.
yeah.
Because this is the TheGigRig channel, and we're going to talk about GigRig stuff. So I don't, obviously we'll answer any questions that you have, and we'll get to as many of them as we possibly can. But we will talk about GigRig stuff as well. So, which we'll get to. Anyway, welcome everyone. Let's talk about what happened this week in the world of pedals. The first one we're going to talk about is
This.
the Keeley Octa-Psi PSI. I guess that's Psi.
Psy.
Psi.
Psy.
I guess it's
I'm
besides the
obsessed
point.
with this thing.
Yeah.
It's so cool, man. So
It's Jake and a pedal.
it literally. So thank you, Mr. Robert Keeley, for doing me a signature pedal. I really appreciate it. I'll just scrape my name on it. It's so cool. So you've basically got a muff on one side.
Can we just talk about that muff for a second? Because when we got that, so this is a really early prototype.
It's got demo on the back there.
Yeah. And when I first plugged it in, because I love a big muff, and I've got many of them, this is a stunning big muff.
Yeah. It's
really,
gargantuan.
really cool. And the power of these 3 EQ settings, you got the scoop and the punch, which is 2 settings, and then the Keeley's own PSI version. The power between those 3 and the tone control is epic.
Yeah, it's super versatile.
Yep.
And then the other side, we've got an octave pedal. And so we've got 2 up and 2 down. And there's like slight chorusy type detunes to it as well.
The delay setting is a chorus, which is really
Yeah.
cool.
It's just so cool.
That's great.
You
And
can rearrange the order of you can go the octave into the fuzz or the fuzz into the octave.
And you can do octave up, octave down, or octave up and octave down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is very cool.
Do poly.
You've got all these different interval modes. I know it's amazing. Also, when we did the D&M drive with Robert, one of the things that we did was being able to switch it with G3.
Yeah.
So we did a thing with you'd use TRS jacks and split out the different sides. Well, in this, you use a TRS thing, can connect it to G3's remote switches, and you can turn the sides on and off. So at the moment, I've got mine right at the front.
Yeah, right, cool.
And I'm just using the remote switch to turn. It's just,
That's wicked,
man,
dude.
it's so cool.
And as well, the foot switches can be momentary or latch in.
Yeah, right.
So you can do like some whammy-esque type things that you sort of press and hold and it shifts momentary-wise as well as latch in straight.
Yeah.
And expression control.
Expression control, yeah. So big shout out to Robert and Aaron and all the team at Keeley.
It's so good, man.
They have nailed it with this. It sounds great. I think one thing Robert is doing at the moment is he is knocking his UI out of the park.
Yeah,
100%.
agreed.
Right, so those, he's got 4 of those, the new style Keeley pedals so you can change the gain structure and the tone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is simple and fun, and it feels to me that what they've nailed is getting some fun back into these things, because that's complicated.
Yeah.
But it's not complicated to the point where it stops being fun. You know what I mean?
I'm really liking at the moment in the pedal industry that we're getting like specific use multi-effects pedals.
Yeah.
So that is a fuzz pedal and a chorus and a pitch shifter.
Yeah.
Technically in one box.
Yeah.
And it does a bunch of things really well, really specifically.
Yes. Yeah. It's magic.
Yeah.
So
It's
well
great.
done.
So good.
Very,
So-
very, very cool.
Chat TGR, small round of applause. Yeah, actually, massive round of applause. They've nailed it.
And amazing how long Keeley's been going for, and that he's still smashing out of the park.
Yeah, still
Well,
innovating.
I've got, well, I should say Andy Timmons has my original modified blues driver,
Wow.
which I had done back in 2000 and something, a long time ago.
Before Jake was born.
But probably, when were you born?
95.
Oh, okay, so not that old, but you would have been young. You,
Medium.
yeah.
Not small. I was never small.
and that pedal, it was such an amazing OD, and it stood the test of time, and then it now lives on Andy Timmons' pedalboard.
Wow.
I've got my original C2 modded, the Keeley mod.
Oh, cool, yeah.
So he's been nailing it forever.
Have I got it right that he used to be a science teacher and he started modding pedals like as an after school thing?
Oh, I don't know.
I have a feeling that's like how it started.
Okay.
That he was just trying to show electronics and he started changing little things in pedals and then it grew into Keeley. I might have that
I don't
wrong,
know.
but
I'll
that's
have
like
to-
lodged in my brain somewhere.
Let me
that
text him and I'll ask
deep
him.
lore.
FaceTime him
Don't
right
worry.
now.
Yeah,
We're contacting Robert now.
yeah.
Just, no, I wasn't. Full stop.
Yes. Gordon Rankin says, Dan, tell me when you're in Nashville. It's a 4-hour drive, and it's been a long time for us. Yes, mate, would be fantastic. Tom Poynton says, Vince Gill, baby, we are trying to hook up with Vince Gill.
That would be
and
very
that would
cool.
be a dream come true. So my sister knows his wife.
Right.
So Vince is married to Amy Grant,
Okay.
and my sister is in that world, and she
Yeah.
knows her. So we'll see.
Yeah, man.
We'll see. We'll see.
That'd be really interesting.
Okay. Todd Roy says, hi from Nova Scotia. He says, Andy will never give that back. So he won't give it back because I've given him that pedal. On his board, the way that Andy uses the Keeley mod blues driver is such a massive part of his sound. So dynamic off the volume control. And he's got his signature Keeley pedal. He's got the signature overdrive and the halo. Halo, far out, mate. What an amazing sounding delay. But he's got a bunch of pedals doing a thing, but that that old blues driver sound is for something specific,
Mm-hmm.
and mine just sounded
Just that
so
bit more.
mega.
Sure,
and
man.
I'm like, this is yours.
That's so
That's
cool.
so
Yeah,
cool,
yeah,
man.
yeah. I mean, you know, I'll steal it back when he's not looking, but you know, I want him to have it. Okay. So next, we're 18 minutes in, we've done one pedal.
Wow.
Let's have a quick look at the UAFX Enigmatic.
Oh, yes.
Oh, hang on. BV has just said he's messaged Robert and he's in the chat. Here he is.
Hey.
Robert Keeley's in the chat.
Is
Robert,
my law
I'm
correct?
obsessed with this thing. This is so cool.
Yeah.
You
Is-
have nailed this beyond belief.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah, well done, mate. Yeah, massive congrats
That's so cool.
from all of us and everyone in the pedal community. Lots of love and thank you for doing what you do. It's epic.
Yeah, man.
Okay, UAFX Enigmatic.
Yes.
Right. So we had Tor on the show recently. I've known Tor for a long time since he was with TC Electronic. Tor moved over to Universal Audio and started their pedal line.
Mm-hmm.
Love Tor. He is one of the best humans. Just epic guy. Really impressed with the work that he's done in getting. They're like. It's a different take, right? It's like the UAFX modelers, they're like a single amp.
Yeah.
And I kind of dig that. When we did, there's a video on TPS of one of Chris Shiflett's pedal boards that uses two UAFX, you know, amp sims that he was using for his solo gig. And they do sound great. Now, the Dumble pedal is out and there's some demos around and it sounds really good. I've had a couple of people ask me what I think about it
Yeah.
because of Robin Ford's Dumble.
Yeah, of course.
Which we had here for a little bit.
We did, didn't we, Daniel? We had it here.
We did.
Didn't we, Daniel?
We did. I don't have it anymore.
It was in this room, staring at us. Who forgot the cable that would have allowed us to actually play through it?
That was me.
It was you.
So
It was you.
I forgot the specific power cable that we needed to play the amp.
You effectively flew
so-
me to Disneyland.
I did.
You took me to the gates and then you went, oh man, I haven't got any tickets. Sorry, let's get back on the plane.
I
Go
feel
back
like-
to raining Swindon.
I said, I've got a ticket, but you can't
Yeah,
have one.
yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah, very sorry about that.
Not
Maybe
So
they'll
I
become-
physically sniffed one.
I
Yeah,
feel
you
like
gotta-
I feel like that the amp needs to be in bold and underlined and in italic and luminous.
Fair enough. Fair
Yeah.
enough. So what is interesting is on the Enigmatic, you can choose the speaker type, which is
Right.
really important. There's a bunch of things. So the way Dumble model amplifiers is different. From the way that I understand it, they don't just look at sonically, they look at the circuit. And so if you're doing a layout, you can do a circuit emulator,
Yeah.
right? And run the signal and see what happens. I think like they model the circuit as well.
Yeah.
And they have a very deep understanding of this stuff. The tricky thing with Dumbles is they all sound different.
That's what I was going to say, because they're all sort of customized. How do you distill that into...
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to hear Robin's Dumble, so on TPS we did a show with Robin and his Dumble, and we had a couple of other guitar players that wanted to experience it as well. We had Charlie, I was going to say Charlie Hunter, I forget Charlie's last name, and Jake Loosemore, as well as us, Mick and me, flapping around. And then, of course, Robin. And I've never played an amp like it.
I wonder what it sounds like in the same room.
Yeah. And so...
Yeah, I'd love to have tried that.
Anyway...
Yeah, anyway.
So I want to spend some time modeling solutions don't offer me answers to any questions that I have.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's it's interesting. It's great technology, and I understand the practical use for it. I will use valve amps until I die, and when I die, I'm going to be buried in a valve amp.
Amazing. Which valve amp?
Probably an AC30, but we'll see because I might need a custom AC30 with a Princeton for certain parts.
Are you not going to be buried in a wet, dry, wet setup?
Well, that's what I'm considering. But it depends on how accommodating the people at the morgue are.
Yeah,
we'll
fair
see.
enough.
We'll see. It got really dark. That got really dark.
Sorry,
you
everyone.
right, Lizzie?
Yes.
You okay?
Yes.
You
thank
crying? It's fine. It's a joke.
Okay. So it's saying all that though, I am going to spend some time with the Dumble because having been and experienced the thing, I'm really interested to see what they perceive.
Sure.
Because I don't know what Dumbles they've
Yeah,
done
of
it
course,
with,
of
but they
course.
all sound different. So anyway, I do think though that UA do a wonderful job. I love the Lion,
Yeah.
the Marshall one. I think that sounds epic. Loads of guys using the Dream, which is
Yep.
the black panel fender one.
Yeah.
I think Dream's got a few other things. It's
The Ruby?
the Ruby, which is the Vox. I didn't connect with that only because 1959 Vox AC10 twin. I've got a 1961 AC30. I know these amps so well, but I know my amps.
Yeah.
You
And
can't
they
put
are
Grandad
different.
in a
and
pedal.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. No one puts baby in the corner. No one puts Grandad in a pedal. So anyway, but that's really cool. All right, let's move along. Let's move on to number 3. So I got an email last night from the guys at Walrus. So shout out to the guys at Walrus.
Love everything you do.
The Walrus.
Yep. So they were on the show on that pedal show. They came on and we were having a chat about stuff, and this is when they were they were about to release, or they showed us the prototypes of the Mako
Cool.
Right.
series.
cool.
And I thought that they looked amazing.
Mm.
And I thought the interface was brilliant. It's like, wow, what a great job they did. And I said, look, this might actually work really well for me, but I've got one really important question for you on the delay. And can you guess what that question was?
I wonder what that was. Could it make toasties?
Does
No.
it have analog dry-through?
Correct. My question was on the original Mako delay, does it have analog drive-through? And the answer was no.
Sure.
So I can't use it.
Yeah, that's a total.
That's a
Deal
deal
breaker.
breaker for me.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Sonically, but also mentally, I don't want my direct signal going through a digital converter. I just don't
Sure.
want it.
Sure.
Sonically, because I play wet, dry, wet,
It,
or
it
wet,
poses,
dry,
It poses all kinds of
it's
problems.
I can never get it in phase.
Yeah.
So I got the email from the guys at Walrus, and they've sent this sheet through, and I'm going, oh, this looks really exciting. And I'm going through all of the points. And it's like, and I'm trying to
Where is it?
find analog drive-through, and it wasn't on the sheet. So I emailed and says, please tell me that these have analog drive-through, and they came back and they said, yes.
Nice.
So the delay and reverb of the
Wicked.
Mako Mark II series have analog drive-through, and I'm so happy. I'm building a board at the moment for someone that I can't name, but I think that quite possibly this will be
Really?
perfect for that.
That's cool.
That's
Sonically,
very cool.
they're amazing.
Mm.
I've always been a fan of their stuff sonically.
Yeah.
They've got some great players that were really creative, but they really understand sound. And in a completely, if I had the Mako in a wetter box where I just blend it in,
Sure.
and the wet effect is beautiful.
Mm.
So I'm looking forward to getting these and trying them out. Well done, Walrus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fair play.
Knocking it out of the park.
And
Okay.
OLED screen. Let's not
OLED
forget.
Yeah,
screen, let's not
screen.
forget
Screen.
that. Yeah, it's brilliant.
More headroom.
Brilliant. We have 109 people on watching us at the
Really?
moment.
Hello, 109 people.
Hello.
That's
109
amazing. Okay.
Oh, Lizzie's
Well,
breaking.
Lizzie's-
kicked the
Lizzie's-
box.
Lizzie was
kicking
so
off.
stunned by how many people we have on. She fell off a stool. She's like, I don't believe these guys talking this much
No,
dribble.
I have the faith.
I think she just fainted.
Sorry. I'm back.
You okay?
Yes, all good.
All right, very good. We're going to take a couple of questions now before we get into the last couple.
Let's do it.
Lizzie, do you
Lizzie,
have
any?
I don't want to brag, but there's actually a question that would be for me to answer.
Okay.
So here I go.
Go on, Lizzie.
Wadey9060 has asked about upgrading from a QMX4 to an 8. He'd like to and wants to know when they'll be off pre-order, which will be next week.
Next
so
week.
they will be back in stock and they will be shipping from the end of next week.
You heard it here
baby.
first.
Yay! Get,
That was
Lizzie,
all.
can you give us one of your yays?
Yay!
There we go. Okay. What else do we got? David Galzinski says, question about the G3 Atom. How does the stereo loop work with mono pedals? Can I split a stereo loop into 2 mono loops and access them separately? How easy is this to do? Thank
No,
you.
You cannot.
So,
You'd have to use 2 loops and set them in parallel to achieve what he's suggesting.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it's a TRS connection and it's on or off for a stereo pedal. That's
Yeah.
the way we designed it.
So one of the things with the Atom is that it's designed, you've got 6 loops and you can either have the mono or stereo. If you think of how stereo works, you've got 2 audio paths traveling in parallel. What we would need to do is separate those out and then take one loop and then feed it the output from one and feed it to the input of the other, and then give you a way to be able to switch that. It's important to remember, though, there are 6 loops on the Atom, but there's also a 7th loop at the front, which is the auxiliary loop in the tuner output, which gives you a loop, which I love because that loop sits before the pre-gain.
Yep.
So if you've got vintage fuzzes or things and the pre-gain is it's not just a brilliant pre-gain control, it's a balanced buffer as well. And if you like to have the input to your pedals buffered, but you still want to be able to switch in a vintage fuzz, you stick that in the auxiliary loop. Perfect. Sits before all the shenanigans. So there are 7 loops there. So hopefully that sorts out. If you want any more, go the big boy. Go G3. And here we go. Paul Matulovic has a question. Paul says, I was very jealous of Paul because he has family in Scotland, and when he comes over, he stays in a castle.
Wow. Whereabouts in Scotland?
I'm not sure.
Like
I'm going to say
in the middle of nowhere?
I'm going
or-
to say somewhere between Edinburgh and Glasgow. Let's do that. I got no idea. It's in Scotland.
Feels like a safe.
But I do know that he drove down to an experience day once, like straight from
My
Scotland.
guy.
Amazing.
And, yeah.
Legend.
But yeah, really lovely guy, and he always brings presents. So Paul Matulovic says, is there a good way to route for a single expression pedal to cover multiple expression inputs? Yes. Yes, there is. So one of the companies that we love is Old Blood Noise Endeavours.
Legends.
Just wonderful company, wonderful people, such creative output. And I think it's worth, can we see underneath your board?
Of course.
All right.
I'll just
You
move
swing
this out of the way a second.
swing your voice stick around. Right. So let's show the front of your board. Show the front of your board first. Right. So this is Joe's Atom board. And
Doesn't even know my name.
so
Wait, who am I then?
Worked here
this
for
is
12
Who,
years.
who am I?
this is Joe's Atom board. Now, Joe, you're Joe? Joe is using, you see, Joe has 2 expression pedals, but Joe is using one of the expression pedals, plugs into the Atom, and then if we look underneath the Atom, if you can not put it on the table, that'd be great. All right, underneath the Atom, you can see it. So Joe, please point to it. This amazing product from Old Blood Noise Endeavours, and it is called the MTET. MTET, Mr. Matulovic, is what you need. So what the MTET allows you to do it will take a MIDI message, and then you can turn that MIDI message into, is it 4 outputs?
4 outputs of expression.
So 4 outputs of expression. So you can send that to like any just normal expression pedal input. So it means that on your Atom, Paul Matulovic has a G3. So it means that with a single expression pedal, you can control 4 devices. That is not MIDI expression, it's normal expression. It is genius. So
Very cool idea.
Joe, can you just take us through how you're using that with your board?
Can I pass you this, or do you want to hold this?
I'll hold it. Put it in front of my face.
It's like the Lion King
I
right
once,
now.
Pedalia.
Oh no, they're off again. Okay, so what we're doing is don't say monorail.
Okay.
Anyway, so basically what I'm doing is I've got the option of 2 expression pedals going into the Atom, comes out of the Atom through the Zoya into the MTET, and then I've got the more or less on this side.
Yep.
Dan, would you just drop it ever so slightly lower? I'm so sorry.
Let me just move. I'm balancing it now because I'm so strong. How's that?
That's perfect.
Is that
Thank
better?
you.
Okay, so
You were impressed when you touched those guns, weren't you?
I really
You
was. I really was.
Okay.
Don't get that on the experience day, do you?
Okay, sorry, Jay. Carry on.
right, so basically loop 4 in the Atom is going into a wet box, and then inside the wet box I've got the B7K and the plumes.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the wetter box set to the blend mode.
Right.
So the B7K is always on,
Yep.
and the plumes can be blended in on the top.
Okay, and you're using the MTET to do that.
I'm using the MTET to control the wetter box.
Right.
And I've got a more or less after that.
Oh,
So
nice.
I can set up the more or less to control the overall volume of those 2 things.
Right.
But I can also use the Zoya to turn the more or less into a gate or a compressor
No way.
by using envelopes,
Yes,
and then
of course.
converting those envelopes to MIDI, which then go into the MTET, which are then converted into expression.
So in that sense, you're using more or less as like a synth. What do you call? What do we call them? The modular synth type approach.
It's a VCA.
It's a
I
VCA.
see the more or less as a pedalboard VCA.
Yeah.
Because I'm also using it before the Dark World. In the last loop, I've got the second more or less before the Dark World, so I'm treating it like a VCA, sending signal into the Dark World, so I
Right.
can play, do what I want, and then either with an expression pedal or trigger it however I want, send as much of that signal as I want into the Dark World to do its thing, and then close that so I can run that in parallel with my main signal.
Okay.
As being a bass player, if I'm going to use reverb, it's more as a special effect
Sure.
than something I always have on.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that was again treating it like a VCA. It's a feed to the reverb.
Beautiful.
Because the only other way that you can do it is you put the mix down on the Dark World,
Yep.
but then you're still getting all the signals, all the signal. So when you engage it, it sounds really muddy.
Okay.
Whereas this just basically, you can just throw whatever note you want
Got
into
it.
the Dark World to do its thing.
Nice. There we go. Well, that was
How are your biceps right now?
that was in
Swole.
gains.
Gains, brother.
Gains. But basically,
Hell yeah.
to
Hoss.
in case you didn't understand what was going on there, the idea is that you're using the CC out, the MIDI message from using expression pedal in G3 is controlling the expression pedal outputs of the MTET, and you've got a manner of things hooked up to it.
Yeah.
So depending, and you can change that per preset. It's so clever.
So the reason why I really like that is that with the G3 Atom, you can send a value within the MIDI menu and set any of those 3 things to a specific value, and it will just stay there. So you
Right.
can have preset volumes or preset blend amounts.
Yeah, sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure, very good. Paul Matulovich says Dan has to keep in shape, although revoke his passport. And Todd Roy says Dan has transformed his upper body into a pedalboard for those just tuning in. There we go. Very good.
He's finally evolved into his final form.
And
Just like Pokemon.
Yeah.
very good. Okay,
Dan
let's have a look at the Thorpy.
oh yeah.
Spooky.
Oh no, sorry. First of all, let's let's do Thorpy.
Let's
do
do
Thorpy. So my dear friend Adrian Thorpe, what a legend of a human this man is.
He's
got
the
some.
bomb.
Whoa now.
That works for so many reasons.
Right.
That was like an onion.
He has got some Halloween colorways.
Spooky.
So these are really cool. Heavy water, an absolutely amazing boost, and of course the Fallout cloud, which is called the Pumpkin Cloud. So some lovely graphics there from Thorpy. If you like some spooky tone. Fantastic. Okay. And finally, and this is awesome, the Tsakalis Audio Mothership.
Yeah.
So Tsakalis Audioworks Mothership 12AX7. There's a couple of reasons I really dig this. A, the guys and girls at Tsakalis in Athens are wonderful, super creative. They make amazing things, and I think this, in the vein of, how Friedman have done that thing, sort of a similar thing, but the Tsakalis is so flexible.
Yeah.
Really, really dig this. So this is like an audio interface. 12AX7, so you can, proper valve preamp.
Yeah.
It's just really, really, really
MIDI.
cool.
It's got MIDI.
It's got MIDI. M1D1.
M1D1.
And
Yeah.
1D1.
That was a mixed story.
What's the T?
When he was the editor of Guitarist magazine, someone wrote in and says, "Can you explain M1D1
Oh.
So there we go.
Oh.
But I haven't played a pedal of theirs yet that I haven't thought sounded incredible.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's awesome.
Really, they've got the technology thing right, but they've got just a fundamental understanding of what sounds good, what feels good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really great. Marcus Corner says, does the TheGigRig hire people, preferably remote? I'm a guitar player and engineer. Oh, thank you, mate. We're not hiring at the moment, and we don't work remotely. We're a very close-knit team. We're all in here all the time. We all live here. We never leave. And
I miss my family.
That's yeah. And one day, if you're good, we'll let you go.
Send help.
But yeah, so So we. One thing when we were all working from home over that period, which shall not be mentioned. There's fundamentally something missing not being in the room together, getting stuff done.
Yeah. I made up for it with 7 espressos a day.
Right. Yeah, that would end me. I would let you in a little secret though, because I had a long drive early this morning to get into
don't
Robin.
tell me you had real
Did
coffee.
you have a
And-
real coffee?
I had a single shot espresso.
Daniel.
Dan's back in the game.
No,
already.
I'm not back in the game.
My man.
Dan's
I
back
feel
in the
great,
game.
but what I want to do, because as you may or may not know this about me, I'm an all or nothing kind of person.
Yeah, yeah.
I hadn't noticed.
Never picked up
That
on
is news.
Yeah, Lizzie's stunned. And when I got back into coffee, and you guys, I don't know what you guys are brewing upstairs, but it was just
Great.
so strong.
So it's called a shot in the dark, and it's filter coffee with a double shot of espresso in the top. So imagine you're making an Americano with filter coffee.
It's really good.
That's a Monday morning drink.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and we'd be drinking that all day. And by the end, I mean, there were days I didn't sleep. I was so buzzing. And
Have another coffee.
And but the thing is, I felt for the first few days, I felt so great. And then like for the month afterwards, I started affecting me in a not good way. So I just had to cut coffee out. What I am going to try is on certain days have a single shot of coffee early in the morning.
Genuinely, we're off topic now, but genuinely, if you leave your first coffee till over an hour after it makes all the difference.
Yep. Okay. Right.
Lizzie doesn't drink coffee, so
Okay.
Grow up.
I know, sorry.
Okay. So as we try and do every week, I had a quick look at Robin Ford's pedalboard because it's not here, but we do try and go over some. The boys are always working on rigs. You've just finished off the most epic rack.
I am.
So that's done. It's being picked up tomorrow.
Relieved, quite frankly.
It was War and Peace in a pedalboard.
It was amazing. It's
Been
amazing.
a challenge.
Yeah, but it's two pedalboards.
So it's a little Schmidt array board with like some effects, stuff controlled by an atom, and then we go into this gargantuan rack with like 5 shelves, and that's controlled by a G3 extension kit, and it's just been insane.
Yeah,
I think it's the closest pedalboard I've ever seen to Cowley and Walled City. Like
I agree.
It's that level.
Yeah, agreed. It's bonkers, but I reckon I finished it probably 20 minutes before we went on.
Yeah.
And it's being picked up tomorrow.
You've never seen someone so
amazing.
happy.
Yeah.
Marcus Corner says, "Thanks anyway. I'd love to help, but I live in Sweden, mate. Well, let's see what happens.
Never say never.
Never say never." Marcus Corner says, "BV, has the UA Enigmatic already been discussed?" It has. Lizzie, can we throw that picture up again, just for Marcus, as he's so lovely to want to inquire about working for us. So
Which one?
the Enigmatic.
Oh yeah.
There we go. So there it is. In case you missed that, Marcus, that's the new Dumble style pedal from Universal Audio. Well done, Tor and the team.
Tor and the team.
Tor and the team. Okay.
Okay.
So I just wanted to. So we've got 15 minutes left. If you have any other questions that we've missed out, Lizzie, that we need to get onto.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now
Do it.
okay.
Do it.
We've got DMK75. I do some programming for a few guitarists. I see guys spending good money on guitars and pedals, but some spend more on a strap than their main lead. Do you come across this at all?
Yes.
I feel like there's quite a lot of shade in that.
Well, this is what I find interesting. If you get used to playing with a really good strap and then you go to a not good strap, it's a big difference in the experience that you have playing.
Yeah.
So we found these artisan leather makers, and TPS had some straps done, and they're beautiful and they're expensive, but they're beautiful.
Sure.
Now, because I understand the difference that a really good quality cable can make,
Totally.
then yes, my guitar cable specifically is a nice, expensive cable. But for people who maybe are not completely au fait, and you grab any cable and plug it in and it works, it's not always obvious that actually this is a good place to spend money,
right. Yeah.
right? However, having a nice strap and having the guitar feel and sit great is immediately rewarding.
Yeah, and it affects how you
know.
play, and it affects how long you play for it. It's the same as anything. It's the same as good wine or good coffee. As soon as you have really good coffee, you can't go back.
Yeah.
But until you've had really good coffee, you don't realise quite how bad instant coffee is, for example.
Yes. Hiya, no worries.
Our couriers have just turned up.
Couriers have just turned up. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Big. Let's
Bye.
we'll make the sign on the door a bit bigger,
Bit
perhaps.
bigger,
a bit
bit
bigger.
brighter. Yeah.
As long as you mimic that you're shush and you're quiet, right? That's how it works, isn't it? That's how life works.
That's how it works,
Got
bro.
it.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, but and again, I guess you could. This could also fall into the conversation of like expensive power supplies, and you know, they're not sexy purchases, you know, in comparison to buying a new pedal, right?
Yeah.
But then when you try like a really good power supply or really good patch cables, you're like, it sounds night and day.
We both went through the exact same thing. Obviously, we're biased, but when we first started working at GigRig, and Dan was like, "You need to use our power supplies," and you plug it all in with the GigRig stuff, and even the LEDs light up brighter, and everything is surprisingly quieter and better. But you don't realise that it's going to have that much effect until you're physically there.
For sure.
I got a quick story to say on that. So one of the things I did today at Robin's was put a virtual battery on his wah pedal.
Cool, man.
We were A-Bing, and he could pick it in a blind test,
That's really cool.
right? And because it was really obvious, the difference in sound. You know, so the virtual battery is a little device that mimics the way that a battery delivers current, and you can go between an alkaline battery and a carbon battery. It is, as you said, it's not a sexy purchase, a power supply. But one thing I will say so we released a new power supply last year, and it's called the Gen X 14. Man,
You sure?
I know, I think so. I think so. And it's such a great, I'm so proud of that thing.
Yeah.
It's the culmination of 20 years of working with
Yeah.
power supplies, right?
Yeah.
But the one thing that I think a lot of pedalboard people don't quite get with that, it's not cheap, and we'll never do anything cheap. But also, if you want a really neat pedalboard, and I see a lot of guys with other power supplies, and they're great, but then they want to get the custom cables done. The amount of money that you need to spend to get someone to make you custom length cables, when with our supply,
It's just so
you just
quick.
bang them in there, put them
and
down.
don't get me wrong, it does take slightly longer if you want to take one of those cables out from the chock block.
Yeah,
But the result is so much neater and so much easier
yeah,
from my perspective.
Yeah,
than having to
completely.
build.
Well, building
Honey.
that was the thing with this rack. You know, the customer wanted to go with a supply that I can't remember the brand, but it's got DC barrels on one side, on both sides
Yeah.
of the cable, and you, bless you, I would measure the cables out when I was building it, and you soldered me up a bunch of cables. Whereas if you're using our sort of the chock block design, it's easy. You know,
So
I threw
it's
together the other
seconds.
board on it. Yeah,
It's
it took
seconds
me-
rather than minutes. And
yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, there we go. I can't even remember what that question was, but
Tangent.
hopefully we talked enough that it sorted it
Any
out.
other questions, dearest Lizzie?
Do you think the Line 6 M5/M9 holds up today? I tried one and liked it more than the HX stuff, and they live on so many session boards.
I mean,
I think that's all that matters.
it's
though.
personal preference.
If you digged it, that's awesome. That's
If
it's
it
whatever-
works for you,
yeah,
it works
whatever
for you. I
sounds good
don't,
to
I
you,
don't
that's the
think
answer.
there's a need to say one is better than the other, because this is context. If you
Yeah.
prefer the sound of the older stuff, then go with it.
I'll just say that for some of the more unusual effects and for harmonizing and things, I used to use an H9,
Yeah.
and it wasn't the sound of the H9 that I preferred to the new version. It's just the interface.
Right.
Because
Interesting.
anything that's a bit complicated like that, and you spend time and energy getting to know that interface.
Yeah, of course.
The M5, M9 things, so simple to use. They sound great, but being able to just go,
Yeah, right, okay.
you know what I mean? So it might be, if it's sonically, if it's doing the job that you need it to do, and you're au fait with the interface, then great. If it's not doing the job that you need it to do, then you need to look at something else. But, you know, ultimately, that interface is a big deal.
100%.
Definitely.
You know.
100%.
Okay, we did have a question here. Oh, so Tom Poynton says, can I run the virtual battery from a COX? Yes, you can. VBDC. We have two sorts of virtual batteries, a VBDC and a VBBC. The BC is the battery clip. So if you've got a battery-only fuzz, the OTB custom fuzz is a battery-only fuzz that Owen Barry has made for me. Oh, he's stretching, he can't quite make it.
I'm not tall enough.
But I will run that off a virtual battery, which is the VBBC. But the wire today had a DC input, so I use a VBDC for that one.
Yep.
Can I just say that you look wonderful in your GigRig certified awesome shirt there. Very nice. Can you believe it took us 20 years to get merch?
Not really.
Yeah, knowing you.
Does the merch make any noise? Does it help with your signal chain? No, that's why.
Then no, move along.
With you, it's either 10 minutes or 20 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
On the subject of virtual batteries, we did just have a question from Jeremiah saying, I have a Univibe clone and it's very noisy. The only thing that fixes it is when I use a GigRig virtual battery. Why is that?
Because, so thank you.
Univibe in particular.
Yeah, Univibes are a really interesting circuit, especially, using photocells and all that sort of thing. It's just such a sensitive circuit.
And it's kind of utilising the shortcomings in those lamps.
Absolutely.
To the advantage.
Yeah. In those sorts of circuits, Univibes, fuzzers, wahs, anything that, and I'll go so far as to say gain stages as well. Like,
sure.
If, not the valve ones because they need a high level of current, but running my old, like the very first series of Eternity pedals, pedal.
Mm-hmm.
The difference between running that off the supply and a virtual battery is huge. So the way that, let me see if I can express this properly. The way that a power supply, let's say you've got, a modern power supply, let's say you've got one of our supplies and you've got all this current, this reservoir of current ready. So it's important to remember that it's the current, not the voltage, that does the work in the circuit, right? And so in a good power supply, you've got this amount of current there. Especially with modern pedals, you need a large reservoir of this current so that they're ready to go. So when you see...
So what was the sound of electricity?
So when you see like 1 amp or 200 milliamp or 500 milliamp, that's the current available. So you plug your pedal in and you've got that big pool of current and you play a note, whatever, the transistors do their thing and that current is drawn and goes through the circuit. Good thing to remember, the current goes through the circuit, voltage goes across the circuit. So, but it's the current that does the work. The way a battery delivers current is a bit different, and also depending on the battery. So batteries have internal resistance. So funnily enough, they can deliver, if you short a battery out, you can get quite a lot of current. Sure. But they have this almost a bit of internal resistance.
It's kind of like a threshold, right? Where there's
and depending on the battery as well,
Yeah.
and they're all different, which is why you've got a little thing in the back of the virtual battery. You can go between alkaline and carbon. It's not a voltage thing. It's a resistance thing. And why some people get the virtual battery and they go, stop measuring a low voltage. It's like, no, that's not it.
Yeah, you won't see it with a multimeter
If you put the virtual battery in circuit and then measure it, you can measure it.
Yeah.
But if you put the, your old transistor fuzz, when you play it, you hit it and the fuzz and the gates open and stuff, there's a tiny little bit of resistance. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So, the virtual battery does that. So people could accuse us of being cork sniffers, but it's real.
Oh, 100%.
It's a
If you-
very
if
real
you-
thing.
If you look at the characteristics of a carbon battery versus an alkaline battery, there is a fundamental difference in how they deliver power, and that slight sagging of the voltage depending on how much the circuit is drawing has a vast effect, especially on fuzz pedals and wah pedals on transients.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think it's cork sniffing. I think it's just
Did
ultra
you know?
nerdery.
Did you know we have a patent for the
Yeah.
virtual battery?
Oh,
Yeah, man.
really?
Yeah, we have a patent for the virtual battery. Joe from Hello Halifax is on. G'day, mate.
Hey,
I
buddy.
hope you're awesome.
Yo.
Hey, dude.
Sorry, I do tell the story because I just think Joe's one of the most beautiful humans.
Oh, thank you.
He goes with the name. It goes with the name. Joe's been to twice to experience days at TPS, and Joe from Hello Sailor, he makes some of the most amazing. They're all handcrafted and individual effects. He made me a treble booster because he knows I love treble boosters, and on the inside he wrote a little note. So Joe, I think he's retired now, but was in the Navy for a long time.
Right.
And he made this treble booster for me. He said, "This was made while we were trailing 2 Russian subs." You know, I mean, it was
What?
just crazy.
What?
And I don't know Joe, but I think Joe's got into some old Navy vessels and just torn all the components out because some of the stuff that goes into his pedals is unbelievable.
Sure, man.
Right? Just
That's
the
really
pots
cool.
that he uses.
Right.
Anyway, Joe turns up to an experience day and he's made everyone an experience day a
Yeah,
pedal.
man.
That's
And
so
just hands them
cool.
out like Father Christmas.
It's so good.
What a
It was
legend.
it was really lovely. He's done that twice, but he said, "Oh, Dan, I know you're a big fan of Foxes and the Matchless and things." He made me a clone of the of the train wreck.
Really?
And he
Right.
called it a shipwreck.
That's so good.
And we used it in the TPS video. It is unbelievable.
That's so good.
And it's got all the proper stuff
What
in
a
it.
legend.
And it just turns up and goes, "Oh, what you?" So there we go. Beautiful,
You are a legend. good
really
sir.
beautiful human. And far out. It's 5 o'clock. Joe, I know you've got to go. We're going to have to leave it there. If we didn't answer any of your questions, like Andrew Jones, are there any imminent G3 updates and what can we expect then? Yes, there is. We sent it out to beta testers. A beta tester came back with a thing that could be better, so we're still working on it. It's this amazing parallel routing feature, which is great. Also, the new way that you can calibrate your expression pedals.
Calibration, tap tempo MIDI clock.
Tap tempo MIDI clock. How cool is that?
Is the
Stomp box expression pedal on stomp box. I feel
more
like it's
expression
more.
pedals?
Yes, and
6 on each.
6 messages per each expression.
Yeah. So it's
a big one.
It's a big one. So we apologize for the time it's taken to get this out, but it's the biggest update we've ever done. It's the most ambitious thing we've ever done. And we are so close, we can smell it. So what we can smell is our software guys' hair
Tears.
sort of sizzling and
Brain falling out his nose.
but we're very close. Anyway, this has been a blast. Thank you all for watching.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you, Lizzie.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Lizzie.
linesman. Thank you, ball boys. Have a fantastic week. Any questions, email them to support@thegigrig.com and we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can. Have a great day. We'll see you soon.